create your own light bar. Watch the most informative and long. Let's quickly go over what we need in order to complete this project. So I'm gonna mount this onto a 45-degree LED strip mounting kit. There's the product number right there. I'll link it below. Helps remove some of the uncertain. Kind of spendy, but it's in an aluminum channel. And it slides out. So you can put your strip right inside here. Comes with end caps, mounting brackets. I won't use any of this, but just an FYI. LED strip. Pick your flavor. This is I'll link also below what it is. Just warm white, 300 LED quantity, 5 meters, and powered by, you know, your popular 12-volt lead sealed battery. Kind of looks like that. It's got LEDs every about an inch or so. Next, speaker wire. I like using speaker wire because it is ridiculously cheap. I'll show you how to do the soldering piece once we get to it, but super cheap speaker wire. Radio Shack has it. I have no idea where you can buy this anymore. I can't find Radio Shack anymore, so I just probably Amazon speaker wire. Super cheap. This soldering iron used to make your own connections on the terminal itself. So let me zoom in right here. Positive, negative connections. So every, looks like 4 or 5 inches, you got a positive and a negative. So I'll take the solder right here, attach it with the soldering iron to the speaker wire, and I'll have a nice big solid connection right there. And I think that really is it from main component. This is tidying up your work, shrink wrap. I won't be using an alligator clip because I hate attaching alligator clips to the battery terminals because it always unclips. So I'm using these little spade connector type fittings. You can get them at your electrical section at Home Depot. And let's see, what else do we got? I think that's it, really. All right, just a real quick demonstration. If some of you have never soldered in your life, it's not that bad. The key is having steady hands. That's about the only thing that is a challenge these days as you get older. But grab some solder. Make sure that there's flux inside the solder. If you use solder used in like copper pipes, when you're trying to solder like plumbing, it won't work because you have to add the flux and then you got to use the lead or whatever. So anyways, this will have flux inside, so as you melt it, you'll be able to create that nice bond. So what I usually do is I just do a quick check, take the solder and just touch the tip and see if it, oh yeah, it likes it. And what I do is this. Here's just a piece of wire that I will place on the board, and the solder is here. So what you want to do is you want to heat up the piece of copper that you're trying to fuse. So it only takes about literally probably 2 seconds. So I'm doing a little bit longer than normal. But if you take this piece and you touch this above it or below it, it should start melting. If it doesn't, then I usually touch the tip of the soldering iron, and then it flows into the copper itself. I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. Alright, without burning myself, hopefully this isn't conducted. Yeah, it looks good. Ah! Yeah! Exactly what I was afraid of. It's hot. So, see how that tip has the solder at the tip? It's within the strands. That's kind of what you want. You want that bond to be within the strands. So this is multi-stranded wire. The wire that I'll be using is just a single solid core copper wire. So think about one strand. So here's the copper wire that I'm. Get a point of reference. This is 24 gauge. I feel like this is about the smallest you'd want to go, but you see that they're just 2 copper solid core copper strands insulated in this plastic. Standard old speaker wire. Nothing special about it. You don't have to go buy super expensive wire. Real close zoom up of the LED strip. You can tell that there's a little bit of a beveled edge when you look at the top compared to the bottom. What you have to do is you have to take a little knife and slice away this little plastic barrier to expose the copper dots. So I just wanted to show what that looked like. Let's see if I can get a couple angles of it. And here. So what I start out with typically, if my hand is in the way, I apologize. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take that soldering iron, and I'm going to put the point on that first dot and then apply 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters of this solder so it forms a bubble. And I'm also going to do the same exact thing on the other dot. So what that is kind of doing is that is setting up when I apply this copper wire onto the 2 dots. Watch. Steady hands. Get real close typically. And let's do it. So I put the tip right on the top, on the dot, apply some, and you got 1 bubble there. Let's move I gotta shift my whole body to get you better lighting and apply the tip, and then push, and then we get ourselves 2 dots, like so. The most challenging step is literally this right here. And after that, it's not too bad. So I always try to do a mock lineup to make sure when I apply the first dot and then I remove the soldering iron, it holds. The same thing for the second dot. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. All right, let's apply. Just be mindful. Usually on speaker wire, there's always a white line. Sorry, it's out of focus. And then there's just like a clear. So I'm just gonna do positive, which is left, is the strip, and then negative is just going to be nothing. So that's how I'm going to. Typically all you have to do is apply. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push this solder, I'm going to push the speaker wire onto the bubble, and then I'm going to lift up as it once it melts. And I think that one is done. Doing the same thing over here. My eyeballs, as I'm getting older, it's not as easy to see. So, let's see if I can find something to help push down on it. This point right here. All right, let's do that. I apologize if my hand's in the way. It's impossible to record and get this on paper, on film. Okay, and then that helped, that worked. Great. So now I'm gonna add a little bit more on top to hopefully build a bigger bubble. So I'm going to add some solder. Like so. All right. It's extremely hot, so be careful, guys. Now I'm gonna inspect it as close to. Let's just get a nice close up. Pretty good. Let me just show you what I'm trying to do here with my camera. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna move to the next step. On to the next step. Purely optional. Highly recommended. I'm just gonna shrink wrap that solder point. And then I ended up sticking a rigid piece of copper so that the chance of this spot bending is minimal. I want that to not move at all. So then that is an extreme. So you can see the outline of the wire that I dropped in. This helps keep it from moving, and it also keeps it from bending. At this point, I highly recommend you try and test out the battery source. And it looks like we have light, so I'm not too concerned. I'm going to attach that point to that point. So like before in the 16 gauge wire, you got the line and then the no line. I'm going to match up the two. Alright, so what do I have going on? I have the little wire going into the stranded wire. I will just put the soldering right on the tip so it can flow into it. Electronics class, the proper way of actually conjoining two pieces of wire is to wrap it, so I'll do that instead. Because I think the other method wasn't really strong. Let's go with that. Soldering for now is done. Measured the strip, so now I gotta go chop it. So like I said, there's a cut point with a little scissor symbol and slice a rooney down that line. Yeah, look at that. Good. So we got our strip, which is the length of this guy, which I will apply into this channel. I'll spot for that strip to lace 3M. Slap that in. Wiring of these guys in a second. On the back, there's that 3M strip tape, double stick tape. So after a year of hard use, cold, ice fishing, it will fail on you, guaranteed. So just peel as best as possible. It will reveal that. Suggest not pulling it all the way, leave some so you can. Once it's down, so be careful. Tape that corner down, so hopefully that's, just start pressing it down. And then you can start removing the other strip, you know, that you did not. Like so. I'll show you what that hot glue gun is going to be for. Hot glue is an awesome product. I'm just going to drop a huge line right at this back point. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Nope. Don't freaking burn your freaking fingers. Use something that I can push down on. Anywhere where there's kind of a gap, I'm gonna just apply a couple dots on the side to help hold it in. Install the end caps and the plastic diffuser, and here's the end down there. Nothing too crazy, but hopefully it's with Gorilla duct tape. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I know it. Alright. I added these guys, the spade connectors. Just crimping them now. Here are the spade connectors. I recommend applying some solder. I've noticed that when I crimped it, it pulled off, so I'm going to solder it to fuse it. Alright, finished product. Red goes with red. Alright, and this goes. There it is. The light bar. Pretty cool, looks like a lightsaber. And it's all done. So, onza04, signing off.